Hi, and welcome to 52 Weeks of Angel Connection. I am Christy Clemens Hoffman, as you see in the show description. And today I'm talking with, about, and to Merlin. Merlin, yes, that Merlin, an ascended master known from the early days of England, Britain, whatever you want to call it. So, reading from Doreen Virtue's big book of Archangels and Ascended Masters. Merlin, of course, is an ascended master. Celtic, he's Celtic from the United Kingdom, also known as Merlin, Merlin with Merlyn, and Emrys. That's a beautiful name. I wish I'd known that name when my daughter was being born. So she says, a controversial figure. Did he really live, or was he merely a legend? He's not a legend. He's real. Merlin represents the great old sage wizard archetype. And yes, he shows up to me looking like Dumbledore from Harry Potter. He is my master teacher. So full disclosure, he's one of my guides. He is like the main guide. He's not my first guide. He came in later, but he is my main guide in terms of getting everybody lined up to do what they need to do. So if you think of him like a headmaster, he can line up your team and teach. He can delegate, just like lining up which teachers you need for a semester or for a year. So he does that type of thing. He shows up for people who are ready to take the next level, ready to learn. He's known as a powerful magician, a spiritual teacher, and a psychic visionary who helped King Arthur during 5th century Camelot in Wales. He's associated with the goddesses of Avalon and Glastonbury, including Vivian, Guinevere, and the Lady of the Lake. Those who question his reality as an actual human being say that Merlin may have been based upon an ancient druid mystic. True. In any event, biographical information about him is seemingly non-existent. However, many divinities didn't lead physical lives, but they're still quite powerful and real among us in the spirit world. Merlin is one of them. Although some New Age philosophers argue that Merlin was an early incarnation of Saint Germain, could be, right? Doreen Virtue, and many of the peers whom I respect have interacted with Merlin's spirit as a personality quite distinct and apart from Saint Germain, and I can verify that. Yeah, that he does not show up to me as Saint Germain. So Merlin is happy to give light workers a magical leg up. However, he always cautions that we use our inner wizards in the name of spiritual service and not for self-gain. So, during his mortal lifetime, Merlin rarely spent time indoors. He frequently left Camelot to meditate by himself in the forest and only went back when he was called on by Arthur and others for assistance. For this reason, it's best to invoke Merlin when you're outside, especially among trees. Well, we're going to do this from the office that I share with Kathy Lesmeister here in Kansas City, Missouri. So, Merlin can help us with many things. Alchemy. Alchemy is taking one thing and changing it into another thing. With crystals, and interestingly enough, I am doing an online teaching circle with my good friend Sarah Robinson, who is a coach, and I signed up for her coaching program. Today she's talking about crystals and creating grids with them, so that's very timely. He helps with divine magic, with energy work and healing. In fact, his card in the Ascended Masters deck from Doreen Virtue is energy healing, and he helps with that. He helps with prophecy and divination, psychic abilities, shape-shifting, and time warping. Shape-shifting and time warping are, of course, forms of alchemy, taking one thing, changing it to another. So Merlin knows our intentions. He knows what we want to learn. He knows. So many years ago, I was training with my teacher, Gail Larmer. If you're watching this video, you may know Gail. And during that time, I was asking for a master teacher to help. And this is, I think, part of the workshop that I was doing with Gail. put out the call for a master teacher, and Merlin showed up. He says, "You're ready. Let's do this." And he has served as my personal headmaster ever since. And he's talking to me about energy and energy healing. And he's talking to me about moving energy. He says that's how he does most of the things he does, is by moving energy. He says he moves the energy of one thing out and then moves the energy of the other thing in. That's how he does transmutation and alchemy. So basically, alchemy is taking one thing and transforming it into another thing. And long, long ago, the alchemists tried to turn lead into gold. That was their prime goal, was to turn lead into gold. And he says what he does is he takes the essence of lead, moves it out, and then moves in the energy of gold. And so he says the early alchemists missed the point. He's saying the early alchemists missed the point that the true gold is in the trees. The true gold is in nature. And that is lovely. So he says, as for that, the true gold is within humans, because that is where your nature is. He says, human beings are energetic beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. But he says, human beings, it's the physical that they always think of. It's not the energetic, the emotional, the spiritual that we think of. He says when we're transforming and transmuting and we are doing our own personal alchemy, and of course, interestingly enough, this crystal class through the coaching program is part of the Executive Alchemy Academy, which is Sarah Robinson's coaching. So he's talking about how that is the alchemy of what happens to us inside, how we can transform ourselves into greater spiritual beings. We can transform ourselves from our present self into our future self. So we need to move aside the energy of who we are now and call in the energy of who we are becoming. And so we can accelerate this growth and this path by moving that energy, simply bringing in the energy of who we are to become and bringing that in, replacing the energy of who we are now, and letting that return to nature and letting that return to the past. He says it's much like soul retrieval, but in reverse in a way, that we take who we are now and we leave it here in this moment and bring in who we are to become. If we were to leave and completely dismiss who we are now, who we are to become will not be as powerful. That we need to have the energy of ourselves kind of locked in this moment. And he says that's the true alchemy, is being able to reach back and draw from who we once were. And he's talking about soul retrieval in terms of when we reach back and heal those fragments of ourselves, we are incorporating them. We are letting them stay there, but we are incorporating their energy with us now. And they need to stay where they are so that they can continue their path. So Merlin is one who can help us with many, 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 many things. You can call on Merlin if you need some rapid transformation. You can call on Merlin if you would like energy healing, and he's very helpful with that. If you're starting your training for energy healing, if you're thinking of taking a Reiki class or some other form of healing class, I would ask Merlin if he would oversee what you're doing, to be kind of a master teacher. He will only come to those who are ready. So if you're not ready, he will not come. He will come to those who have done the work and are ready to take it to the next level. So you can count on him for that. And you can always invoke him in nature, in the woods, in a garden, in a field. Is always wonderful to invoke him. Of course, I'm here in the office. We have a few touches of nature here, but he's with me pretty much whenever I call. So I know that I've been able to reach out and touch him very and bring him in very easily. Let's see if there's anything else he would like to add. He says, it's an opportune time for me to come in because this is the first installment of this series after the solstice, and the solstice was just Saturday, 2 days ago. I'm filming this. I'm recording this on June 22nd, and the solstice was June 20th. And many of us around the world watched the solstice come in at Stonehenge via a live broadcast, which was absolutely magical. It was taking place on Facebook Live. And yes, the clouds were, the sky was gray and cloudy, and that's just fine. It was still magical nonetheless. So it is very fitting that he is coming now, today, just post solstice. So that's it. I hope you do call in Merlin. If you are ready, he will come, and he will be one of your master teachers as well. But if you are not ready, but just curious, feel his energy. It is strong. His energy is very strong, and but he may not agree to be one of your master teachers or one of your guides. But he would love to help anyway. So please do call him in. All right. See you guys next week, next Monday. Have a wonderful week. See you then. Bye.